Hey everybody, welcome to Funny Side Up. Today we have a special guest, our personal friend.
I am Shawn Dillard.
He just doxed himself. Everyone's gonna go find
I'll
him.
give my fucking social too. Let's hear.
uh, Shawn is a personal friend of both me and Jackson.
Yes.
He, along with both of us, have worked at a specific thrift store, which we will not name. That's the entire episode is going to be us just recounting stories and just not necessarily talking shit, but shooting shit on the store we worked at. But before we hop in, remember to comment on the video, leave some questions. No one's leaving questions for that Q&A that's eventually going to come, but
Yeah, we're gonna have like 3 questions, and we'll have like a 5-minute episode.
yeah, I really want to do that. But yeah, go check out the website. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna dive into this. So
Where do we even start?
I think we should start by saying just a general disclaimer of we enjoyed working at this place. Uh, Generally, there were a lot of bad things that happened. There were a lot of good things that happened, but an overall like review on pretty much like all of our parts, like a general consensus was it it's not the best place to work. Which we're not gonna name any specific names of any employees, any the company itself, just out of respect for it and you
And
know
everyone involved.
yeah, respect for our future jobs.
Yeah.
Hopefully future employers and hear this and they're like, oh, you know, they may talk not necessarily shit, but about I don't know. We are publicly talking about somewhere we used to work.
I mean, we're like you said, we're not name dropping
No.
anything in particular, and I feel like we'd be doing a disservice if we didn't talk about these things.
Yeah,
Because you hear about a thrift store, you're like, that's
I mean,
that sounds like a basic job.
yeah. It was my first full time job.
It was my first full time job for sure.
It was my first job.
Yeah. So like, I mean, they definitely gave us opportunity and stuff,
Yeah.
and uh, I love it there.
We gonna talk about pay?
Yes.
Oh, dude, pay was a very interesting thing. Which and to second what we were talking about, this is just general things that have happened to us. These are our stories, our lives. So
Yeah.
like, we have the right to talk about it. But
It's all about money.
yeah,
I mean, money is the reason why I left. And I'm gonna be honest.
yeah. If we want to talk about pay, I started out making a pretty good amount because I was working. Well, when I say good, it was like okay, because I was working in the back in what is called production, uh, and you start at a higher rate back there. Shawn started out up front doing like cashier stuff and various things.
Yeah, I was I was a pretty I was on paper a cashier, but I was generally whatever they needed, I would do.
I think
That's
every job was that.
yeah, I was gonna say every job is if you're there and you don't necessarily have to be doing your current job, you're gonna be doing something else.
It was a lot of moving furniture, if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, yeah. I remember I had to move furniture a lot. Like if someone would buy it, I would have
Yeah.
to I still am almost always the guy that does it, which this is my last week working there. None of us will be employed by this company by the time this episode airs. So like we're all past employees, but
Yeah.
I I always had to do furniture. No matter I worked on paper 2 different jobs at this place, and I no matter what the job was or how important it was, I pretty consistently was the go-to guy for taking out furniture. And I mean, it's a very big part of the store where they sell so much furniture that they
Yeah, and it's so strange because we had dedicated carryout guys, and yet,
your brother was one, and
yeah,
even then I
It
still
was a thing too with because your brother was one. Two of the other carryout guys we had were still in high school, so they could only work after a certain point or on the
Yeah.
weekends, and that really had a big effect of you're hiring people that can't be here throughout the day.
yeah, and it's like the job that we need the most because
Yeah.
we're getting other people to do it.
yeah.
And
Might as well just dedicate somebody during the day, which I didn't. I don't we'll call him Chad.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, wasn't he a carryout guy
Yeah, he was. He was a carryout guy.
before he just tossed the keys and
You
said he
talking
quit?
about Big Buff Robotnik or different guy?
No, different guy.
Okay.
Robotnik would do carryout occasionally.
He would complain about his job 24 fucking 7.
If he
Complain
did
about anyone.
carryouts, he complained, and then he would tell the same story about a Hispanic family from another store that he had to load up a bunch of furniture on their car.
Robotnik was a real racist.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
very casual, like extremely casually racist, almost competitively racist.
And he was okay. So he was the guy that me and Jackson took over the cage, the electronics department.
Yeah.
The cum cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I feel like we should clarify. We worked in a literal cage.
Yeah.
We had a lock on it.
Yeah, it did.
We stopped using the lock whenever he left because the lock was only introduced to keep Jackson out.
Yeah.
Because Jackson was put in place to basically be his apprentice.
It wasn't even that. Well, that's what it was at first. And then like I started like having nothing to do. Like I would make 10 or 20 trips around the store sweeping, and then I'm like there's only so much sweeping I can do. I would go in there. There was one time I tested like 10 or 15 Wiimotes, and I had like sticky notes labeled on all of them. Like this one's good. It has a Wii Motion Plus built in. It's worth more. This one doesn't work. This one it has a battery pack included, you know. And then I come back the next day and the motherfucker locks the cage.
Yeah.
Like,
Jackson basically the dude purposefully didn't do his job well. Like he did the bare minimum. And Jackson just barely did better than him. And he basically cut Jackson off. He was like I think he said he just didn't like you, right?
yeah, well, he never outright told me anyway, but like
Yeah.
I'd walk by him and say hi, and he wouldn't even look at me.
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong, he would like go behind work that you did and undo it, right? Like with the TVs.
I don't remember anything about TVs. I know he definitely didn't put out the Wiimotes that I had finished.
I was gonna say I thought it was something that you finally get like all the TVs on that wall like hooked up right or
Oh,
something.
that. Yeah, I spent like
A whole shift.
over half a workday at least fixing coaxial cables into TVs.
Into like splitters and everything.
Yeah, like I was like actually drilling pilot holes in the wood studs and everything, like getting splitters mounted so that way everything was clean and it looked like someone actually gave a shit.
Professional, yeah.
Yeah, and then it was like Christmas or something. I don't know. I didn't show up to work for like a week. I wasn't just skipping.
Yeah.
But I come back and like the entire thing's fucking destroyed. Like there's just wires everywhere, and like it was well after he quit that I actually got around to fixing it because it's so disheartening, right?
Yeah, I was about to say that was by the time that I was like full time in the cage.
Yeah.
We could talk a lot about that guy. Do you want to tell
We already
this?
talked about the disc.
Yeah, we mentioned it in the
Yeah.
pilot. The story about your brother and that dude. Your brother was probably one of the best employees that place ever had, but
Absolutely.
he got so much shit because he was just a like.
different.
No, it's because he's just purely kind to everyone.
Yeah,
and that didn't fly with the boss lady and
They'd always try to take advantage of that kindness.
yeah, he had an unbeatable work ethic as far as I'm concerned. Like
He was literally, his back was breaking and he was still trying to move furniture.
yeah, like what's
one of the reasons he left was because like he got no respect from the boss lady anytime
Yeah.
he got hurt. Like dude is built
I have a story on that one actually, but like the exact time he got hurt.
Are you talking about? I know there was one time he was pulling something off of a truck and he hurt his back and he had to like lay down because
So-
it hurt so bad.
What happened was it was the boss lady and I think
Jack.
Jack. You know they go sometimes to get furniture from warehouses that like
Yeah, that
the
are far
new
off.
furniture,
Yeah.
It was a day that they had come back. It was pretty late in the day. It was the other carryout guy, Jackson's brother, and then me. We're all kind of trying to help and like get all the couches off and everything. And you know, Jack, I guess the dude's so used to doing it. You know, he'd put a couch up on a dolly and just carry it in by himself.
I just realized. There's a couple at the thrift store. We're calling Jack and Jill for like privacy
Yeah,
sake.
I was gonna clarify. I am not Jack in this story.
Yeah. We will call Jackson, and this other guy is Jack. He's a completely different guy. But he has a wife that works at the store. We're calling her Jill, just Jack and Jill.
Mhm.
But yeah, continue.
So I was kind of just on. I was asked to help by another manager. I was just kind of on standby, really, because Jackson's brother and the other carryout guy were mainly doing it. And at one point, when they were trying to get a couch through the door, and like they were trying to like twist it and like just get its way in, Jackson's brother goes to pick it up, and you can hear an audible crack, like a legitimate like. It sounds like somebody's back popping.
Yeah, Bone was doing something it shouldn't have been.
Basically, and he's like trying not to drop the couch, and he's like slowly lowering to the ground, and me and the other carryout guy run over to help him, and we get the couch set down, we pick him up and carry him to a chair, and I mean he's still trying to get up and work. And like you know, I literally had to force him to sit down and stop working. And I'm just like, I can take over, it's good. And it's probably one of the worst things I've ever heard somebody say. The boss looks at him after he just fell to the floor, like gasping for air, because he's just fucked up his back.
Yeah.
And she just goes, "Oh, you think that's bad? Wait till you get to be my age, huh?"
Yeah,
I get it.
Literally laughs at him
Yeah.
and like.
And then I think there was an issue because he had to miss work.
Yeah.
He didn't get any kind of
He
workers.
actually went to like the hospital and everything. I remember that.
Yeah, he didn't get any kind of workers' comp, did he?
Nope.
No. And that was a whole thing when he left. Was like someone had mentioned to him, it's like, yeah, if that happens, you should have like gone and applied for like workman's comp and stuff. And he didn't know that dude wouldn't have done it anyways, just because like of the way he is.
He could have outright sued.
Yeah.
Like he had a good case to sue.
Yeah. Dude just has a golden heart, which, you know, in that case, that's way past like any of that.
Yeah.
But that so many transgressions just against your brother.
It's so weird, like, for the boss to be put in a position where they could have said actually nothing to someone who's injured and it would have been better.
Yeah.
That's like just
She chose to make it work worse.
Yeah, like
that's
I know for a fact, like, he took that insult deeply.
yeah.
Like, because it sat with him and for like a whole nother like year and a half, whenever, like, by the time he left. Because I think that happened before I even got hired on. And then, like, it was like another year.
well, you were there, but you were on the table still. I believe.
Okay, yeah. But I mean, there are so many things that we can talk about. We can talk about how, like, speaking of moving furniture and stuff, it was never uncommon for these people to come in and buy the biggest fucking couch or bed or like ridiculously large furniture and have just like a 2-door sedan or like a 4-door sedan and be like, yeah, just throw that shit on top and we'll get going.
You gonna talk about the guy that was like screaming at his fucking wife like, I'm gonna fucking kill you?
What?
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? Like, we were like loading the glass part of a table into his car.
Mhm.
And she was like trying to help us with it. She was like, no, you can come around here and load it in this side. And he was like, shut the fuck up, bitch, I'll fucking kill you.
Dude, yes, that was like
I don't think I was there for this.
no, this was like right before Jackson actually like left.
Yeah.
But yeah, we sell new furniture also. We sell used and new. And this was like a new piece of furniture, and it was just this glass table that separated the glass from the like metal base.
Yeah.
And they looked like the dude at least looked like he might have been on something. But
Yeah,
he was cussing us out.
Yeah, he was like, you scratch the car, I'll fucking kill you. He's like, it's
no,
a rental.
Yeah. Who fucking uses a rental car to pick up furniture. Yeah. But yeah, no, me and Jackson were both just kind of looking at him like,
We like glanced at each other like while he wasn't looking, like, did he just say what I fucking think
Yeah.
he said?
and so me and Jackson were done. Like, we were getting it in, and
At that point, you could have just put it down and refused to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I know situations like that. The boss actually says that we're allowed to just refuse.
See, I never knew that. When I still work at my first job. Also, like I work 2 jobs, technically, and by the time I leave the thrift store, I'm already employed at another place. So like I'm consistently working 2 jobs.
Yeah.
But at my first job, a movie theater, I still work there. I had been working there a few months, and this dude came up to me, and like it was a really busy night, so the lines were going slow, and he asked me if I was Down syndrome, because the line was going slow or something, and he was this like probably 30-something-year-old dude, and he had like 3 or 4 like younger girls, like it might have been his younger sister and her friends or something like that, and they were
Yeah.
going to see a fucking shark movie, and it was just a busy night, so like big orders and stuff. It was taking me a minute,
Yeah.
and I got up there, and I was just stunned. He like came at me hard, and he ended up going down the wrong hallway, and he was insulting me to someone that was on the stand where you like rip tickets and stuff.
Yeah.
And she,
Did he name drop you?
no, he described me and then proceeded to
Yeah,
call me handicapped.
Yeah, you know the handicapped guy that he got working at the booth.
Yeah, and so he did that and continued to do that, and she was like, "No, you can just go back up there." Like she wasn't helping him at all.
Yeah.
And then he went and was getting a refund from literally a register beside me, a guy I'm pretty good friends with, and he called me disabled to that guy. And
Hey, that guy next to you? You wouldn't believe what I heard about him.
the dude then that guy refused to help him, but I was nice to him the whole time, did all his order, did everything.
Dude, he's ableist as fuck. Like,
Yeah.
even you not being that, I don't know if it's worse if you're that or not, because it's like,
It would be way worse if I was. Like,
yeah, but it's
but yeah, he proceeded to continually call me disabled to the next 3 workers he talked to, and a manager was like refunding him or whatever, but she didn't know the full story. Like otherwise he wouldn't have gotten no refund.
Did he not tell her that you were disabled?
I don't think he did. I think he just
he learned his lesson by the 4th person.
he had
Yeah.
cooled down. It's been like 20 minutes
Yeah.
since the first
No,
interaction.
it was like a total, yeah, it was about 20 minutes this whole thing happening. And then the busy period died down, and I was talking to the guy that was on the register beside me and the manager that refunded him, and we were all talking about it, and she's like, "Yeah, you didn't have to continue helping that guy. I just didn't know that I could refuse service." And so like I was just I'm a very like pleasant if I'm on a register at the theater, I'm a very pleasant guy. I will like do anything for you just because like I want you to have a good time.
Yeah.
If you're coming to pay for a movie, they're fucking expensive. Like
Yeah.
why not like just make it a little easier on the other person? And so I try and have really good like customer service. And this dude was being an asshole, and yeah, he called me disabled, and I think he called me both Down syndrome and autistic. But
How
I
old
didn't
was
know
he?
you could be both.
yeah, did you say how old was he?
Yeah.
He was like 30 something.
What the fuck?
But my issue was I laughed it off, but it kind of shocked me whenever it was happening. But
yeah.
I found it comedic that he opened up with calling me Down syndrome, but there are very like obvious like visual like tells if
Yeah,
someone's
You can
Down
tell.
syndrome.
You can definitely tell when somebody's Down syndrome.
And I was like, it was almost more insulting to like,
Yeah.
it's like, we're busy, but like, it's very obvious that I'm not. Like, open up with a better like insult than asking me that.
That dude
Like,
was stuck in like Xbox lobby mode. Like,
Yeah. I don't know why, like, he just got so pissed because there were like maybe 2 people in front of him, and it didn't take that long.
yeah.
But that's probably my worst like customer experience ever. Besides like someone telling me that he was
They're
gonna,
gonna fucking kill you if
Yeah.
you scratch the rental.
Was that? I think I remember that day because it was that one other cashier heard the dude say that,
yeah.
and then me and her went and got the manager, and got some of the program guys.
Yeah,
I think we're
the
calling them.
goons.
Yeah, and they all went out there.
Yeah, that might be insulting, but the calling them goons.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, I just thought that was a funny name.
I
Yeah,
mean, it's we've got a name for them, but it's also the name of the program, so we can't really say it.
yeah. The thrift store is ran by this program for like
Drug rehab.
drug rehab and
Yeah,
everything.
South California.
Yeah, South California. Yeah, so we don't want to name drop that either. And what we regularly call those guys is related to the company, so we're just gonna call them goons. But
Yeah,
they are essentially free labor, which we no longer have them anymore because there was issue with some of them stealing things from the store. And well, supposedly, I don't exactly believe it, but um
a lot of them were hard to work with.
yeah, they didn't respect the boss very much, which the boss is a very hard person to work with, but she has a unique managing style, and she runs that store better than like any thrift store I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Like she
I will say, like, as much shit as we'll probably talk on this podcast, it is one of the nicest thrift stores I've ever been in.
yeah, it's easily the nicest I've ever been in, unless you go to like unclaimed baggage is essentially a thrift store,
I'd say so.
but I think it's the only. I guess it's the only one in its chain. I don't know if that there are a billion solo thrift stores. So,
yeah,
but it is the nicest one. Even like you would expect one being the only one of its kind to kind of just be like half-assed, but this
Yeah.
one is like it is nice.
it's sort of weird because it's like everything is still decorated with like donated stuff most of the time, but it still has this very uh the only word that's coming,
Professional.
I wouldn't even say professional. It's like capitalistic feel to it, where it's um it just looks like a corporation. made
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
which that's not inherently bad, but
Well, for the sake of looking professional, it's a
Yeah.
good thing. Yeah.
yeah, it is. But it's like you look at the stuff around, you can tell that like that's just like plates that were donated that someone put up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fine. But
I mean, a lot of that stuff's still for sale too, so it just
yeah,
gets it out in the open, really.
yeah, it's just this really weird balance between secondhand things and that professional feel you guys were talking about.
Yeah. The like two or three nearby thrift stores like fail in like trying to like hold a candle to like what this one
Yeah.
is. So like I imagine it's a lot rougher working at other thrift stores, but I would say the biggest fault of this thrift store is just like the management. Like
Yeah,
uh
it's morale mostly.
yeah, yeah.
It's a serious issue when the boss is gone and everybody literally has a party.
Yeah, like everyone is way happy. Like morale is a good word. Like everyone's way happier. Everyone actually almost does their job even better
Yeah,
because
yeah.
like it's not uncommon for the boss to just almost always being like breathing down your neck.
and I want to preface what you're about to say with like I can't really speak for Shawn's experience, but me and Will had pretty much no issues with management for the most part. I definitely had none.
The boss lady liked me a lot.
Yeah.
I think that was our biggest. If she didn't like you, that was your issue. Like
Yeah, I'll also say, because my problems were more for how people around me were treated, because I was treated fairly well, all things considered. I think she really liked me too.
Yeah.
Interestingly, there's a running cord that connects all of us. Of we're all somewhat young men.
Oh no.
Okay, I would say Colton, your brother.
Yeah.
He's very like personally secretive. So if you want to, I don't know if mentioning his name.
I think he'd be fine with that if we don't go any further.
Yeah.
Just Colton.
He is a good looking dude, like arguably. Like he's built. Sometimes his beard is like
I think his beard makes him look older.
yeah.
When he cleans up though, he does look genuinely nice.
Yeah.
The boss for some reason disliked him more than almost anyone.
It's weird. It's weird too because he hardworking, easy to get along with. Like he did his job and he did it well.
Yeah, like I you would actually be really hard pressed to find anyone, in my opinion, that was better suited to that job.
Yeah. And she disliked him for like, she was always hard on him, and he was doing up and above what he should be
Yeah,
doing.
110.
And that's the thing. I would say all three of us, we did good jobs. Like, but
Our hearts weren't in it.
yeah,
I'll be honest. Because I mentioned earlier that a big issue for me was pay, and I didn't have a problem starting out at what I did, but
you got moved to production, which, like I said,
it became very clear that I wasn't getting that raise that I was promised when I moved to production.
and so you weren't getting what you were promised, and so you
No.
weren't exactly putting
and
forth.
that's also even doing, because you guys know for a while we had an issue with getting cashiers and getting good cashiers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There were a lot of nights, I closed that store by myself just because that's all we had. And it kind of bothered me to have every other cashier being brought in starting out at a higher pay than I was currently getting.
Yeah.
Our friend that currently works there started out at a higher rate than you did.
Yeah, he did. And I mean, nothing against him because he had the prior experience as a cashier that I did not. But it's still saying after a certain point, you really just start half-assing the job when for one, you can get away with it. But two, there's no incentive to really put in your best effort.
Yeah. Like I got hired in above minimum wage.
We all did.
Yeah, and I was elated when I saw that because I was expecting minimum wage. I was being hired at 16, so I was literally just at the age where I could work.
First job, no experience. You were like right at 16. You started working like not too long after you turned 16, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I didn't even have my driver's license when I first started working. So $8 an hour, that was big money for me.
Yeah.
And then some time goes by. I made friends with a few people who worked there, and your friends. You start talking about how much you get paid because that's not a taboo topic anymore.
I was about to say I feel like that should never be a taboo topic.
Yeah, and
that's how you know you're getting screwed over.
Exactly. Like I don't know. I don't know how that thing got perpetuated, but it really shouldn't exist. But anyway, I started asking.
It got perpetuated by the big man.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're not legally allowed to tell your employees not to talk about wage.
Yeah. But I was asking around, and I had been working there for like a year and a half. I never got a raise there my entire time working, but
You're supposed to get a raise. Like I don't think it's in contract, but it's like
I was outright promised.
yeah.
it is in contract.
Is it? Okay,
Sure.
there's like a yearly review that you do that depending on it, you will get a raise.
Yeah.
I remember whenever I got hired, pretty much everyone that the store is fairly new, and so a lot of the original hires and stuff had been there for almost a year or two.
Mhm.
Like however long it had been open, they had been there since then,
Yeah.
and almost none of them by year 2 of the store being open had their first year review for raises.
They also, if I'm not mistaken, especially a lot of the older people back in processing, they hired pretty capped out, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that did get initially hired in had like sometimes decades of thrift experience already. Like
The boss lady did.
yeah,
She had been in thrift for like
Jack and Jill.
yeah, Jack and Jill, all three of that whole trio, like
Yeah.
they had been in thrift for a long time.
Yeah, so yeah, like making $8, back to that, I talked around and it became apparent to me that not only did I make low compared to everyone else, I actually had the lowest, if not equal to the lowest pay in the entire business.
I was going to say, and this isn't against you, but me and you made the same thing. And I don't think we should have. Again, not anything against you.
No, I don't blame you for that.
I was full-time and you worked like usually one day a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I worked full-time for a little bit, and then I was like, I hate this, and I was like very insistent that I get my hours cut or I was just going to quit.
Mhm.
And I was like, so I guess I got that, that was pretty cool. I did appreciate that.
Yeah, Shawn moved from like cashiering to production, promised a raise, and never got it for how long did you work production?
I want to say the last maybe 2 months I worked there.
Yeah, and that was like the final straw.
Yeah, on top of some other things that was really, because it was that, and then honestly, because that's where she's at all the time, the boss.
Yeah.
It just drains the life out of you.
Yeah, working up front. See, the whole time I've been there, I don't know the piece of up front. I just know that you don't have to deal with her like all the time.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you get customers, which sometimes is worse, genuinely. But I mean, all in all, you can hide from customers. You can't hide from her.
Yeah. I feel like we should have mentioned like there's a disproportionately high amount of people that I suspected of like we'll say tweaking.
we had to cut. There was a small interruption, but we are back now. I don't know what we were on about. It was a very small cut, but we have monkey brains.
Oh yeah, this is a cool time to mention that I have been awake for about 26 hours now.
Yeah.
I know a lot of it was about Jackson making less, even after getting moved to production.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Generally about her always being in the back end of year in production.
Yeah.
To,
That exactly.
yeah.
I was gonna say, she is a diabetic, and she knows that if she does not eat, she has bad mood swings.
Same
Like,
with taking medication, if I'm not wrong.
yeah, I believe she like knowingly didn't take her medication sometimes, or like she would just forget and like not even care, and that alone makes for like horrible like managing etiquette because
Yeah.
if she would just let in to people sometimes, and we had a grown man like 60 or 70 something that she laid into one day and made him cry, like a grown man who was one of the nicest guys ever.
Was that someone that I knew?
Yeah, I think he worked for a time that you were there.
Small amount of time.
He had like white hair. I think it was like either right before or right after COVID. But yeah, she was just asking so much of him. But like we said, like he's just a much older guy, and
Yeah.
so she just let into him one day over like nothing.
I just wanted to say there's a shift supervisor we had who was very cool. And one time, the boss didn't take her meds, right?
Mhm.
So she was off the cuff, and she started tearing into her for not reminding her to take her meds. Like
I know.
that is not in her job description, and I know we did a lot of things that weren't in our job description.
But reminding a grown woman to take her medication.
Yeah, someone who's 20 years older than
You have a cell phone that can literally you can set reminders. But no.
All right, second cut. You want to just? I think you'll see the blank audio, but yeah, my roommate came in for a minute and they left.
Yeah, I had to move my car.
Yeah, but so back onto just reminding her to take her meds and such. Like, yeah, she is a fully capable of doing it herself,
Yes.
and just laid into her.
Yeah, it's like being prescribed any medication is a responsibility for numerous reasons, and being able to keep up with that yourself, it's not exactly a big responsibility. Like,
No, it's a single pill that you take whenever, like a specified time. You just get into the routine.
and more importantly, it is a small responsibility that is yours and not anyone else's.
Yeah. But yeah. What other crazy things have happened there?
I just kind of wanted to mention, it's not really a story, but like Robotnik and
Yeah.
the cage. The cage is in a complete blind spot of all cameras.
Mhm.
So like it sort of makes sense. Like you take that type of person and put him in a place where he's not being watched, that jack shit is going to happen. Like you are not going to get any work done out of him.
Yeah.
Um
He had so the sequence of events that happened that resulted in me and Jackson taking over the cage was Robotnik heard from like either his brother or something there was good money in repoing.
Yeah.
And so this guy started repoing and working at the thrift store. And he was making hella cash off of repoing.
Yeah.
And so he basically, his wife got sick. What did we call her? We called her Autumn. Autumn got sick, and she was out for some time, but Robotnik was not sick, and he stayed out with her anyways. And it was very common for both of them to do that. If one of them was sick, neither of them would come.
If I'm not wrong, they lay out like a lot of Fridays.
There were several times where they would be at work and leave early on Fridays because he was known to get headaches because of like some previous injury, which they would use often, like
Yeah.
like way more than it was actually like affecting him. And so that was another excuse for why he didn't get much done, was because he had previous injuries or stuff.
Yeah, and the thing is, that was a similar workplace-related injury of some description at another thrift store, and apparently that was like a bartering chip for him to stay as long as he did, even though he caused problems not just for me but for other people as well.
He sexually harassed a few people.
Did
Yes.
he?
Yeah, a few of the one of the younger cashiers. He made a comment about her, but no one could ever get anything done about it because for some reason the only two people that were around when it happened were him and her, and it might have been like on the floor or something, but there was no firsthand witnesses, so there was nothing to substantiate it or
If
whatever.
it's the one I'm thinking of, then she's like my age, right?
Yeah, no, she was a minor,
Yeah.
and this dude is like 40 something at
Are you
least.
talking about little?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like we were both like 16 at that time.
Yeah.
And this dude is like 40 something.
I think if I'm not wrong, she was 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was. I don't remember exactly what was said, but I know your brother knows what was said.
Yeah. And on this note, but it's unrelated, but we were talking about it earlier about him being competitively racist.
Yep.
He would say the N-word to people at work. Like
He said it to me several times.
Yeah,
There was one instance where I believe it was a black family came in and their children were crying or something,
Yeah.
and something happened, but I distinctly remember the phrase, "That's the difference between black people and the N-word."
Yeah. Like, and he did it to people who I think he trusted. I don't know what his plan was, but like,
He definitely said it around me, which I knew he liked me, but I was always like, being that type of guy, I was never a fan of him.
yeah,
like
there was a dude I went to school with who was like a year my senior, right?
oh yeah, I know who you're talking
Yeah.
about now.
And he hated him too, which is, I assume, because
He hated anyone that was young, except for me for some reason.
I think you were like barely old enough to qualify on his fucking.
But that's the thing. Like, so was your brother. Your brother and I. Your brother was older than me, and he didn't like your brother, but he liked me.
I don't know quite for sure if he liked me, but he never caused any problems.
Yeah, neither with me. Like, he would always help me if I needed it.
Yeah.
But he was a toxic employee. But yeah,
Yes.
he used that bargaining chip because he sued that first thrift store that
Yes,
he worked at.
He did.
And he apparently had sued one or two other places because they had like let him go or something, and he like blamed it on that injury or something like that. And so the boss was always afraid to do anything with him. Like, he was intimidating towards her, and there was rarely anyone that would get in that position over the boss. Like, she always would make it a point that you knew who was in charge.
Yeah, ruled with an iron fist.
Exactly. And a lot of times she did it unnecessarily. Like,
Yeah.
like there would be cases where, like, I understand you're in charge. It's good for your underlings to know that you're in charge.
Yes.
But it's also good to rule with compassion, especially when it's a like Christian establishment.
Yes.
And you portray yourself as that kind of person, and then are like one of the most hateful and disrespectful people, like, at times.
Yeah.
Like, there is a farce that she will put up at times, especially when you first meet her, where she plays this little old like kind lady card,
Yes.
and it's only up for so long. She will very quickly flip that and show you like her other side, which is just like like basically like a dictator almost.
Yeah.
I want to say I want to say I worked there for a week, and did we agree to just call her the cool manager?
Yeah,
Yeah,
The
yeah.
one but yeah. Uh,
The aforementioned cool manager that
Yes.
the pill she was told to
yes.
remind her.
Uh, she quickly took a liking to me and mentioned offhand. She's like, yeah, the boss kind of she's nice and all. She can kind of go on rampages. Just if one of us gives you the heads up, just lay low for a while.
Keep your head down.
You real shit. She told me. She said, "Keep your head down." This I don't know. Another cashier who there's a story where basically she did nothing wrong one day, just doing her job, and the boss lost something, and so she tore into her because she lost something. Not the cashier. The boss lost something,
Yeah.
and made this. I mean, this. I don't know how old she was, like 50-something-year-old woman cry because she got mad that she lost something on her own, and this was the closest person to
Yeah,
her.
took it out on this person.
Yeah.
Just because they were the closest one.
And so it was outright a weekend. I was just told, if we tell you to lay low, just go to the bathroom or something.
Which I I knew Jackson for I've been friends with Jackson for a long time. I've been
Yeah.
friends with his brother even longer.
Mhm.
That's like how me and him met. But both of them had been working there for a while. I was acquaintances with the cool manager. Um and all three of them warned me. They were like, "Look, even before I was hired, and they even all of y'all, well, maybe not you, but your brother and the cool manager. I know they
Yeah.
both apologized for kind of like suggesting that I even work there.
Yeah, but like I was with you a lot of the time, and it ended up being like I didn't feel obligated to apologize because I knew we had it easy
Yeah, me
compared to
and
everyone else.
that's where I was going earlier. Was me, Jack, and Shawn oftentimes had it easy because she
Do you mean Jackson?
Jackson, yeah, sorry. Me, Jack also had it easy, but
To some degree.
yeah.
We'll talk
Oh,
about that later.
she let into him the other day, actually.
Yeah, like sorry to cut you off there, but I just didn't want to forget. Like I heard through the grapevine that like because like he'll do just about anything for her because he's rather passionate about his job, I would say.
He's the right hand man, also, pretty
Yeah,
much.
exactly. But like uh, I heard what he said. Like he was really pissed off about her tearing into him, and he didn't say anything while it was going on. But he was like, sometimes I just want to say, "Get the fuck out of my face!" Like he was just like,
Yeah.
it was like unlike I've never even heard the guy mad before. So hearing him that he was not only like that, but about
The boss lady, yeah.
like, it was baffling.
Yeah.
What did she tear into him for?
He was doing something, and she apparently had made it a point that she was going to have to leave at some point that week to take her car to go and get the oil done on the clock, which she's the boss lady. She can do whatever she wants, I guess. She respect given to the lady. She works ridiculous hours. Like
Yes.
12-hour shifts, if I'm not wrong.
every week. Like she essentially lives at the thrift store. It's not wrong to say that might be like the only thing she has is like
No, I don't think that's wrong at all.
It
she-
is the only thing she has.
she thrives because of the thrift store, but like she is power hungry there sometimes. So she was like, he knew that she was gonna have to leave or whatever, and he got mad that she was gonna have to leave, and he mouthed off to her about her having to leave for maybe like 30 minutes. And so she let into him, and whenever she came back, she was talking to Daisy about it, which is her like I thought for a while she hated Daisy, but
She always talks shit about her when she's not around.
she'll do that with a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it's kind of her gossip buddy, which Daisy is like she's a whole nother segment of
Is Daisy the old one that gossips like all
yes,
the time to
yes.
everyone?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Daisy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we called the other one Rose, her
Yeah.
mother.
Yeah. Daisy and Rose is this mother daughter combo.
We got some stuff to talk about her. For
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
but continuing with this story, um, she let into him, and then whenever she got back, she was talking to Daisy and was like, "Yeah, he I just took my whole break. I left the store for 30 minutes and didn't come back or something like that." So she was on her lunch break when she did all this, so like it's fine. Like she left the store, went and got her lunch, whatever. So it's not really like wrong of her to have been away from the store.
Yeah.
But she just made a point like to take her lunch away from the store because he like let into her, and she like went back and
Yeah.
went at him. But yeah, they fight like an old married couple, which is interesting. Uh,
Given that they're not married.
yeah, but I know there was one guy working on the lights one time. I didn't like that guy at all. He comes in occasionally. And he made a comment about thinking that they were a couple, and him. Oh no! I just realized the boss lady was super defensive about it because she was like, "He's married to Jill." Like made it a point to make sure that guy knew
Yeah.
that they were not an item.
She also, if anybody ever brings the idea of it up, she gets real like haughty, and she's just like, I could do better.
Yeah, yeah. That's her like go-to defense on
He's beneath me. I've got better taste.
Peasantry.
Jack is married to Jill, but there's as long as I've been there, there's been speculation of something between Jack and the big boss.
Yeah.
Which we don't necessarily have to dive into that, but it's definitely a thing where they go at each other sometimes, which they've been friends for a long time, which in my opinion doesn't necessarily grant like a clean slate on that.
Yeah.
If anything, it might feed into it. But yeah, there are often times where they both leave the store, like Shawn said, to go and get like furniture. Do you need to?
Yeah, I was gonna say, because like Will was saying, to go and get furniture. They go to our warehouse to pick up more stock, which I think is like an hour.
It's 45 minutes away.
And there are times that I notice even more in the back that, I mean, they'll be gone. I had one day where they left at 10, and I had another friend of ours who's still currently a cashier. He texted me at, I think, maybe 7 o'clock that night, saying they just got back from 10 in the morning to 7 at night.
So
It's a 45-minute.
it's 45 minutes to get there, 45 minutes back to load up furniture. Well, that might have been a day where they went like to another state.
No, it was the warehouse.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Traffic's crazy, man.
Yeah. So 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back. If they were just getting furniture and stuff, I remember the night. Yeah. Maybe a total of 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours total to get there, get back, get there, load up, get back. So like timestamps rarely add up with them both leaving the store.
It gets to the point too where Jill will she'll be like, oh, they've been gone a long time. I'm getting kind of worried about them. Something happened, and this is like every week she's saying this kind of thing of like, oh man, maybe something happened, and like she'll like try calling Jack and he'll not answer. She'll try calling the boss and she won't answer.
I didn't know about that.
No, yeah, that happens a lot where she'll try to call them and be like, oh, I hope they're okay, and they're just like, oh, just dropped his
Another day, another dollar.
just like, yeah, Jack always just dropping his phone under the seat and just not answering it, or whatever.
My phone died.
Yeah, but it's constantly where like after they're gone for more than what a lot of time would be, which is maybe 3 or 4 hours.
Once you hit the 5 hour mark, it's like, okay.
Yeah, that's where, and it's the genuine concern from this man's wife of, oh, I should check. They've been gone a long time, but I gotta wonder if maybe she knows and she's just trying to put that front because everybody else is thinking.
I have always suspected like
saving face on her part.
Yeah, there's no way that it's like it's not known.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like everyone at the store acknowledges it to a degree. Like
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
Before this podcast episode, I thought that was just a meme. I actually had no idea there was this much to it.
No,
We talked about it all the time in the cage.
We did. I just thought it was funny.
No, like there's a lot of speculation about it.
it's been brought up to her
Managers.
by thing too. I think we agreed to call here.
Yeah.
Try to outright mention.
I don't know which one thing two is.
The taller one. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, she outright mentioned her. She's just, yeah. There's, some people are thinking some things here and there, and the big boss is just like, no, I could do way better. No way. And then they
fucking comeback is
Okay, and
they avoided each other for like a week, I think.
let's say that the boss doing better. As long as I've known her, I've never seen her or heard her talk about going on a date. Talked about her doing anything. She was married once, and
I don't think we should go into that.
okay,
But like,
I was gonna. Yeah, I didn't know if we should or not.
yeah,
but
I don't think we should mention.
she was married a long time ago,
Yes.
and I don't think for a very long time.
I'm actually not sure how long.
I never knew how long.
Yeah. This is completely, like, way fucking out of left field, right?
Yeah.
Because I just been thinking about this. As soon as you mentioned the lighting guy,
Yeah.
I don't know if you recall being in the store when a huge ass, like 10-foot long fluorescent light bulb just fucking fell.
Really?
Yeah. Were either of you guys there?
No.
I wasn't there.
Okay, so like, I'm just sweeping because I'm a fucking crony and that's what I do.
You sent me a picture of it, didn't you?
I may have.
You at least told me about it, but
Yeah.
continue.
And I hear this loud fucking crash. And I'm like, some fucking idiot just broke a mirror somewhere. And so I go and look, and there's just glass all along, like, 2 entire rows of clothes. And those things are long. So I'm like, what? I look up, and it's like visibly dark where like the fucking light is missing. And I was like, it's really good no one was standing there. Because that's
a fucking loss.
yeah,
dude.
place is shut down. Game over.
Yeah.
Like,
That could have hit like 10 people easy.
yeah, and it's just we were lucky that it was like 9 a.m. on like a fucking Tuesday or something.
Yeah.
Like no one was there, but yeah, no, it was. No one talked about it. So people just act like it didn't happen, like that was commonplace.
I think there were a lot of times where like crazy shit happened and people were just like, okay.
Yeah, it's like
Which it's a thrift store. Shit's gonna happen. Like
yeah,
your brother got jumped by some crackhead out back.
yeah, like I went out to throw away some garbage in the fucking dumpster, and I heard the stories. I heard the horror stories. So
Yeah.
I take a golf club out there, and like it's just a raccoon, but like still.
No, I think the back of the store, things are left out sometimes.
It's connected to a wooded area too.
Yeah, and there are plenty of homeless people that are known to be out there
Yeah,
on
it's not a
occasion.
great part of town.
No, but your brother was taking out trash one day or something, and he like went to dump the thing, and like some crackhead like jumped out, and I don't know, did he like hit him or
No, so the it's like this cracked out homeless dude runs up from behind the dumpster on all fours as it's been described.
I think
And
that might have been exaggerated.
Yeah. Colton tends to exaggerate,
yeah,
But-
but
I think bits and pieces of the
he
story
was,
are definitely
he
true.
was a couple of inches away from him, and Colton he's got a flashlight because it's already nighttime. He shines the light in the dude's face, and he's just like, kind of like swinging it towards him. He's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" And the dude just takes off.
And so now Colton nearly always has a baton on him now.
yeah,
Rightfully so.
Yeah,
he didn't before that.
Yeah, no, he got it because of that.
Yeah,
I was actually gonna buy him a stun baton, like
Yeah.
well, like a baton with a taser on the end.
yeah,
But
Half-Life
Frog.
2 stun stick.
yeah, exactly. But they don't sell that on Amazon, so I bought him a machete. But he doesn't carry around the machete. It was just
I
because
remember,
he likes weapons and such.
dude, fucking boss lady. Colton asked like, "Yo, can I carry a baton?" And she was like, "Absolutely not."
He did anyways.
Yeah, he did anyway. No, you have to be a fucking idiot to go out there without something.
Yeah.
I want to bring up too that was one thing that happened to Colton. I want to mention the other of him almost getting sold into a sex trade.
Oh
Shit,
yeah.
yeah.
Which I don't know the exact details. I just remember him mentioning that a aforementioned shady man came in and started talking to him about different job opportunities, and he's just like, well, why don't you meet me at this park at 2 a.m. and we can discuss it. And Colton's just like, no.
There will not be much money for you, but for your family.
He came back, and I remember after he came back, Colton mentioned somebody that oh hey, that's the guy that's trying to kidnap me.
Yeah.
And I'll give I give Jack a lot of shit. The other guy, not Jackson.
Yeah.
I give Jack a lot of shit because, I mean, he's
kind of crazy.
Yeah, but I'll give it to him
Blinded by
this
love.
because he walked up front with a big like a pipe wrench, and he was about to just bust the dude's head in for messing with Colton.
Yeah.
I think we should take a little time and talk about crazy shit we've just come by at the store, because I think that's a very interesting thing. Which, let me say. So I worked on like a sorting table where like I would open bags and it would either have clothes. Typically it was supposed to be just clothes, but there would be other things in there occasionally.
Yeah, shoes.
Yeah, and I'd have to pass it down a table, and two ladies would like sort it into like men's, women's, kids, boys or girls.
Yeah, and there's like miscellaneous.
Yeah. I found several different things just working there. Me and Jack both worked in the electronics cage, so we found some stuff over there sometimes. And Shawn worked in books for a while, so Shawn's got plenty of books that he found.
I also worked before transitioning. We have our houseware section that for a long time didn't have anybody working it, so I'd whenever stuff went to miscellaneous, I'd also be the one that put that out on the floor.
To start us off, this one time I was opening a bag, and a fucking black rotten banana that was like it had mold on top of the black rottenness. It was the peel, just the peel. Someone tossed a fucking banana peel into that bag, and I opened it on the table, and I hadn't been working there long, and I was like, what the fuck? I just remembered. There was from the warehouse, we got a Gaylord of clothes, which a Gaylord is just this big fucking cardboard box. It's no relation to homosexuality or anything.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's called a Gaylord.
When people first started saying that, I had to make sure I was hearing them right. Like,
Me too. I wouldn't say Gaylord for the first 2 or 3 weeks I worked there. I would just be like, oh yeah, the big box.
Yeah, and they're like, you mean a Gaylord? And
I was like, I guess.
Yeah,
you do you, man. I don't.
Yeah. The warehouse we keep things in is fairly nice. We would put sheets over Gaylords to know that, hey, stop throwing stuff in here, it's full or whatever. I hadn't been working there long. There was apparently a leak at the warehouse, and they knew that. And there was this one Gaylord was under that leak, and so it got fucking soaked from top to bottom, all the clothes, and it even sat there for a while past that. It was mildewed, moldy, everything. Like, it was fucking disgusting, and I was told to dig through it and see if there was anything worth keeping.
Yeah, salvage the remnants, man.
There was nothing from top to bottom. You could see the cardboard box itself was fucking molded from top to bottom. Like, everything inside, not even like, I had to go through at least like a foot layer worth of clothes in this big, like, 4 or 5 foot by 4 or 5 foot box.
Yeah.
And we just threw it all in the trash, and we ended up throwing the whole thing in the trash because I was like, this is like a health hazard. I could fucking get like walking pneumonia and AIDS just from looking at this. Like, I was like, this is not worth my time. That was one of the first big issues I ever had with the place. I like was wearing gloves and shit, but no, it wasn't.
If you
Wasn't worth
remember, I had a cart of books like that I actually
Yeah.
I had to be sent home that day because I couldn't breathe after.
Yeah,
dealing
I
with
remember that. Yeah.
it. Yeah.
On the book front, I know you found a hentai book one time.
I kept that in my possession.
Shawn's a man of taste, respectfully.
It wasn't hentai. There's titties.
Yeah, respectful titties.
Yes.
And that now belong to my friend that you guys met over.
Cool guy.
my birthday.
Cool guy.
Um, No, I think my favorite book I found, and if I'm not wrong, you probably still have it in the cage.
It's in the cage. We found 2 copies of it because I had one in the cage, and you were like, "Hey, did you send that book back through? Because here it is again." I want to name that book by name.
I don't.
Stick a hat in your germanium, or stick a germanium in your hat.
I
Yeah.
thought you were talking about J.O. Winslow.
No. That we'll get to.
I was gonna say, like, I find it hard to believe there are 2 copies of that book in fucking existence.
No,
let
it's the
alone...
same. I can't deal with it.
No, both books.
To put into perspective, because I while sorting the books, I read the back of this book because like you try to get a general idea of what a book's about, so you know where to put it. I read the back of it when there's no fucking way this is true. Read it a little bit and then proceeded to pass it around because I for sure wasn't going to put it out on the floor because I knew the boss would want me to. But essentially, the book is
let him explain, and then let me reiterate. He knew the boss would want this on the floor.
Yes. The book is essentially a Christian's comedian's like it's a self-story, self-help kind of thing. She mentions some of the losses that she had in her life and like how she gets through it. And try to help other people dealing with similar things. And I'm like, oh, that sounds nice. And like, I'm still trying to decide if I should put it in religion or self-help, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm reading the back of it, and I can't remember. There's like 3 things, and it's like she tells you how she overcame these 3 hardships in her life, and like, I don't remember the first one because it was just unimportant.
It was son died in a car crash.
No, that's one I was about to mention.
Okay.
I don't remember.
The Vietnam, or son went to war. One of the sons went to war.
Okay, so it was one of her sons was in Vietnam. The other one died in a car crash, and then she goes, and it's legitimately worded. And worst of all, my son being gay. Put that as bad and worse as the son going to Vietnam and son dying in a car crash.
Yeah.
And I go, there's no way this is true. I look through the story and legitimately how she finds out her son is gay. By going through his room, first of all, she finds a magazine or something, which I don't know if it was.
I think it was a gay porn magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm pretty sure the book is from like 1985 or something, right?
I think it was.
The story is that she is definitely an older woman, so
Yeah.
the story would have been back then.
And it's written as though this is an acceptable thing to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she outright mentions in the book that she saw that as worse than her son dying in the car crash.
Yeah.
And she mentions she legitimately talks about she had thoughts of killing her son than killing herself. Like the entire time their family took a trip to fucking Disneyland, and that
like
was
right after she found all of this. Like she was packing him stuff or something like that for the trip.
Yeah, they were going, like, her sister and her sister's husband were flying in, and they were going to Disneyland. And the entire trip, she was thinking about doing a fucking murder-suicide, killing her son and killing herself to make it up in God's eyes that she gave birth to a gay son. And I couldn't fathom. I understand the time, and I understand that not everybody was as accepting of homosexuality back then.
Even during the 80s and 90s, like getting that published.
Your own son is that's your own son. You would rather be dead than just like dick. like, I can't fathom. But that's the point. I knew that our boss would more than likely not see anything wrong with this, just from previous experience.
Yeah, unfortunately so.
Yeah. I passed this off to Will, and I'm like, I just walked by the cage to hand him the book. I'm like, you're not going to fucking believe that.
Yeah, he was like, hey, read the back of this real quick.
And he read the back, and he goes, oh my God, really? And I'm like, I swear to God, chapter 11 tells the whole thing.
I went to that chapter, read that shit, and it's still in the cage. I'm gonna take it with me so that we can
we need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you read the back of that and you're like, this is like some really elaborate satire. Like,
yeah,
this
that's
is
what
like
I thought.
next fucking level.
Yeah.
And
then you read it and it's sincere.
yeah, it's
She talks about how her son, her husband went to talk to her son afterwards and comes back. He's like, it's just going through a phase. The kid's fine. And then her son ran over from home, and her move was to report the car stolen.
Yeah, there was a bunch of bullshit, but I would say there are 3 great books we found from the thrift store. Stick a germanium in your hat. It's a good one. It's fucking some crazy bitch wrote that story, got it published somehow. There are 2 more. These 2 are particularly like close to mine and Jackson's heart.
Can I just mention one that you're probably not thinking of?
Hit me with it.
I was going through the book cart one time. I have a video of it on my Instagram. It's just a book that says boners on the front. That's it. I didn't even read it. I recorded myself picking it up and saying this looks like a bit of a good read and putting it back down, and that's my extent to the knowledge with it. I really want to know why there's a book called Boners. I really want, because it didn't look, it wasn't like, as far as I know, it wasn't a smut or anything. It's just boners.
It might have just been like a sex ed book.
No,
Like, hey, boners.
From what I recall, it was like fictional. It was like telling a story.
That's another thing too. Like some of the sex education stuff, like some of the health stuff. I wasn't really given a clear line on what was okay to put out, because there's stuff with pictures of body parts that I was outright told no because it had those in it. But I'm like, it's telling you, it's a med book.
Yeah, this is a vagina.
Yeah.
Like, we sold encyclopedia sets, and there were definitely tits and vages in there. Like,
yeah.
they throw that shit in there. The 2 books I was gonna mention was we mentioned it in the pilot, the Diary of a Wimpy Kid book.
Yes.
Do it yourself. It's actually sitting over there.
Ah, wonderful.
Yeah. The other one is at my mother's house, which I will retrieve sometime. It is this joke book written by this man named J.O. Winsell. And he ran this oyster shop, oyster restaurant, and would like put the sign up, like the words on the sign. He would put jokes in there. Jackson may be able to remember some of them. I know he had the classic joke of I'm getting the divorce joke.
You know, I was about to mention, I don't remember any of the jokes in particular, but it's very, very boomer humor where, like, he just fucking hates his wife.
Oh, what vice are you the president of? Was one. Jackson particularly liked that one.
I actually would spend shifts going through that book
And marking.
and marking, like, a little star besides ones that were, like, particularly good, and, like, just circling ones that were like, they were okay. But there were, like, probably 95% of them were, like, just terrible. They weren't funny, but when you found one that was good, it's like that.
They hit
Yeah.
good.
That's like Carlin humor when he's not being political.
There was one. It's like, oh yeah, why am I getting a divorce? It's because I'm married or something like that. It was basically the joke of like, the cause of divorce is marriage or something like that.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
Yeah, but it's told by him, so it's
Yeah.
special.
Yeah, it's just boomer humor.
Yeah, and some of them were
it's-
pretty good. Some of them made no sense, like because they came from like the 50s. Like,
yeah.
like if you ever listen to like radio like shows from back then that are supposed to be comedic, they make like no sense. The jokes and the punchlines just they're from a different time. Like the punchline is just something that doesn't make sense.
Who's on first?
Yeah, dude, who's on first is the best.
Yeah, no, it actually is.
I found a DVD of that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Me and Jackson have all we a few times tossed around the idea. We recorded a skit or 2 or 3 actually. We
Yeah.
never released the 3rd one, but it was probably the best one.
Is
The
that,
Taco
like-
Bell.
Yeah.
We meant to actually do like a recreation of Who's on
Yeah.
First. Like we were gonna memorize the script and do it. One take, baby, one take. But yeah. Any interesting things you can recall finding?
From what?
The thrift store.
I already talked about the Boners book, so.
That's really the peak.
Yeah. That's the one. It struck me earlier, like, I think back to that, and like, the only thing I can remember is testing fucking microwaves, because that was my job almost all the time.
Yeah.
But like, when you casually mentioned like, I think it was Colton getting jumped is
Yeah.
what sparked
Yeah.
it in my mind, and just the fact that was able to slip from my memory showed like, oh shit, like actually a lot of things
Have happened.
like actually so many that I didn't even realize.
Yeah, like that's the thing. I I try not to dwell on the thrift store, especially when I'm not there. Like I just want it as far and gone out of my sight and mind. Like
Yeah.
I just don't want to worry about it. But there's so many stories that like I have just suppressed that like I probably like worth mentioning on here that I just can't recall right now.
I've got one that I feel it would be a mistake for me not to mention, and we talked about it Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
The urn.
The urn.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Jackson, I don't think you were there for this, but you've heard the story.
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah. So essentially, as I mentioned earlier, back in my cashiering days, I'd also I'd put out housewares, I'd do showcase, everything on the floor. If they needed somebody to put stuff out, I'd do it. And Jackson's brother, Colton, would often just if there's no carryouts, he'd often help me out because give us a chance to talk and just be buds.
Just bull.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just picking up random vases and making fun of them, whatnot. And there is one. It was just straight up. It was an urn. Like it was this like burgundy color ceramic with the like it's got like the little like handles on the side and
Yeah.
like I pick it up and because this stuff is supposed to like it's supposed to go through multiple people, that way if there's something wrong with it,
We see it.
yeah, and it doesn't get put on the floor for customers to see. I pick this up and I see it looks like it's a little dusty on the rim of it, and I look and like I'm like, oh, that's kind of
Concerning.
Yeah.
Sus.
yeah, it's kind of ash colored, and I look inside and there's just clumps of ashes inside of it. To my belief, I hope to God it wasn't human.
It had a particular smell.
I'll get to that part because the smell didn't really. It was all kind of set, right? It was all kind of like they've been there a while and they've just kind of it was obviously emptied out, but it wasn't clean after being emptied out.
Yeah.
I pick it up, and we had made jokes about it looking like an urn because it was just gonna go with the vases. And I pick it up and I go, "What the fuck is this?" And Colton comes and he takes a look at it, and he's just like, "That's yeah, that don't look right." And so we go back to housewares and show it to the cool manager and the lady who does housewares back there. And they're I'm just outright because like I like the lady that does it, but I'm just outright. How does how does something like this get through? Like you can see that, price at $6.99, and we're told to just clean it out and put it back on the shelf.
The boss thought it was a particular kind of ash.
Yeah, all right. So order of events on this: we got to clean it out. We go to the janitor closet, and we fill it with hot water, and that's when it starts to smell. And that's how
I
we
didn't hear this part.
You essentially broke up the top layer that was holding in the smell.
Yeah, and it became very apparent that those were something's burnt remains.
Yes.
And now because Jackson, your brother, he doesn't have a good sense of smell. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what's wrong, but like he just doesn't.
I don't either. It just happened one day. He was just like, I can't smell, and I was like, okay. And
Yeah.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah. He with the lack of smell that he has, he wound up in the break room trash can throwing up.
Yeah.
And I was right behind him. To the point where because the break room's just adjacent to the janitor's closet, we shut the door like we're like, hurling. And the women in the break room, like for a while, are just like, "What's that smell?" And we're just like, "You don't want to fucking know what that smell is." And so yeah, it's very apparent to us that those are ashes of either a person or animal or something that somebody tried to discard and didn't do a good job cleaning and just donated it to the
Yeah,
thrift
like-
store.
It's too common. People just don't want to fucking clean whatever they have. They're just like,
Yeah, we get
do
so
that.
much just dirty shit. But yeah, I remember being there and seeing all that taking place. And I remember both of y'all were like, yeah, the boss was like, that's not someone's ashes. That's marijuana.
Yeah, she comes up to me, and this was a while after. This is already like, I think this was a different day. I think that she was gone, or she left earlier that day.
Yeah.
But like we had made it known what we had found because people had seen. I took a video of it before cleaning it.
you still have it?
Yeah, I do. I'll show it to you later.
Okay,
Um,
it'll be a bonus feature.
We can throw it on the end of the podcast, or we can throw it at the
yeah,
beginning of the video.
I'll send it.
Okay.
But yeah, very very bad smell. The process of cleaning it out, like we just had to deal with it. I mean, it made us both physically sick, like genuinely physically sick. I was just not okay for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And so later on, I run into the boss, and she's just like, I heard the little tall tale that you and Colton have been telling people, and I'm just like, all right, sure. Yeah, about what exactly? And she goes, the vase that you guys found. I'm like, oh, the urn? And
I bet she didn't like that very much.
no, she did not. And she goes about convincing me that it's not an urn, and because she's like, yeah, those usually have people's like names, like a nameplate on them, and I'm like, not always, but okay. And she's just like, yeah, this and that, and like just trying to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about, basically. And I'm like, see, it's those were very clearly ashes in there. You can't tell me they weren't.
Yeah, and like, you can claim it's like weed ashes or whatever, but like, weed doesn't smell good.
It doesn't smell like that.
It does not smell like.
It does not
It
smell.
doesn't make you vomit.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and because I couldn't. This is where I had to leave the argument because it's the way she said it, where she looks at me and she goes, sometimes people when they do drugs, they'll hide the ashes in vases, and I'm just like, okay, or they could just throw them away, their ashes.
Yeah, no one like holds on to their ashes of like their kush.
Yeah.
You hold on to the ashes of a dead loved one.
And she goes, it's how she says this. She goes, I smelled marijuana one time, and it smelled pretty bad. I think that might be what you guys had. And I'm just like
30 fucking years ago or what?
yeah, that's my thing. I'm just like, for one, and I couldn't argue. I just said, okay, I walked away because I don't want to tell my boss that I know what pot smells like. Because it's going to be a question of, oh, how?
My daddy do drugs.
Yeah, I'm gonna make
cars.
I'm gonna make the disclaimer. I don't smoke. I've got friends that do, and I'm around those friends when they do it because the smell doesn't bother me, and like it's.
He's not referring to either of us.
No.
We're both clean cut boys.
Yeah, no, I'm friends with drug dealers. It's what it is, but
Shawn's he's crazy. Don't mess with him.
no, but yeah, no, just that argument of trying to tell me that
you're mistaken when you
You very clearly know what you were dealing with.
I know, even if it wasn't, ashes of somebody's remains, like,
it still fucking smelled awful.
it smelled awful, and that definitely wasn't marijuana. I can promise that much.
Yeah, it's like.
And to hear that Colton later on, he got the very same talk, and we're both just like, the fuck is she on?
That sounds like a cover up, dude. I think you're onto something.
The urn came from her house. Just get rid of evidence.
Hey, Shawn, I want you to shut the fuck up. Those were not ashes. That was fucking marijuana. That was marijuana. You hear me?
Listen, unless you want to be getting flushed down her sink next.
Yeah. You're pretty tall. You're a big fella, but everyone fits in a vase.
I am genuinely sure that place is now haunted because there's some dude's ashes in the drain pipes.
And he was disrespected by being called marijuana.
Yeah. This is like completely unrelated, but like we had a Tickle Me Elmo in the garbage.
Dude, my brother was involved with that one, wasn't
Yeah, dude, your brother never fucking worked there. He was just hanging out with me.
he? Yeah, he showed up one day. Me and him lived not too far from the store at one
Yeah,
point.
you were very, very close.
I don't even know how he got there. Yeah, like literally right down the street.
Yeah. And so he was hanging out with me in the back. I was showing him, all the cool things. And we see a Tickle Me Elmo. It's in pristine condition in the garbage, right? And then right next to it, I see an unopened bottle of Mott's apple juice.
Apple juice. It was definitely apple juice.
Yeah.
Mott's is an apple juice brand.
Okay. And so I'm like, dude, this was meant to be. So
Yeah, God gave you the Tickle Me Elmo in pristine condition. It worked.
yes.
And the fucking unopened apple juice.
Yeah, so I lean over Elmo on his back because I'm going to waterboard him with apple juice. I open it up and I start pouring it, and this motherfucker starts giggling at me and moving around and dancing. And
There's video proof of this also.
yeah, I don't know if I can find it.
I think Ethan has it.
I really hope so, because we just stared at each other in disbelief. I was like,
We're actually going to end the podcast with a question from him.
okay.
But you can finish the story up.
This is actually a different story. I just wanted to finish the thrilling conclusion of Robotnik.
Okay, yeah.
So
We'll hit back on him.
we were talking about how he had this bargaining chip. And so he did end up getting cut. He
Because he laid out with his wife who was sick while he wasn't. And she was fine to come back to work, but she didn't anyways.
yeah. And naturally the boss is worried that he is going to sue for wrongful unemployment or wrongful termination, my bad.
Yeah.
So he's already gone, and I've been promoted from whatever the fuck I was doing sweeping to tech guy.
A little bitch boy to you sometimes work in a cage.
Yeah, or actually that was my main gig by that point. And I'm fucking hyped. I'm like doing the best job ever I can ever do. I was like keeping a list of everything I did, all the prices, and I'm going through cleaning up the cage because I fucking hated it being messy. And we've talked about the porno DVD, right?
Yep.
And then I told the cool manager about it because I was like, yeah, that's pretty funny, right? And then she goes and tells boss lady, and I'm just working. The boss lady comes up to me and she's like, hey, I need to talk to you. And I'm just like, fuck, I did something wrong.
Yeah, it's never it's never good if you're in the cage and she comes up and she's like, hey, we need to talk about something.
Yeah, so I get pulled out. I'm over at her station. She's like, the shift supervisor tells me that you found something in the cage. And I was like, I found a lot of things in the cage.
Because there was a lot of cleaning that me and you
Absolutely.
both did. Because you couldn't walk around in there whenever me and you first took it over. And we fucking remodeled. Even after you left, I did a few more things to it. But
Yeah, like one time, I was because production usually worked 7 to 3, I think, right?
yes.
And that's what you worked because you were a normal employee, and I was working like 1 to 8 or something like that.
Yeah, you would work on occasion.
Yeah, and that entire time that you were gone, I was literally just cleaning up in there. But getting back to that, she was like, "Can you take a picture of that?" Like it had already been broken by Jack.
Yeah, I remember.
He broke it up, threw it in the trash. But like I took it out and I pieced it together and I put it back in the case and I took a picture of it. And so that was fascinating to me that I had gone from this goon over here on the floor cleaning to someone who is the basis of evidence that could be used in an actual trial.
Yeah.
That I was like, what the fuck did I get myself into?
Yeah. And that dude, what was the case that it was in? Was it not like Santa Claus or something? Like it was in a movie case that definitely was not the movie case for
I
it.
can't even recall.
It was something like Santa Claus or something. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, maybe.
It might be on my old SD card
Mhm.
for my Motorola phone. But
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's about it.
But yeah, so we've been going for about an hour and a half, and like minus a few cuts we have to make.
What was the name of the gossipy girl?
Daisy.
Daisy. I just wanted to mention this. She did not like me.
She didn't like a lot of people. She liked me at times and also didn't like me at times.
I think likes me, but that's because her husband and
Your father.
work together.
Yeah. But so part of the job of electronics for some ungodly reason was inflatables.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
We stopped doing those at a certain point.
Yeah, I think I left by that point.
They weren't worth it.
Yeah, because you'd spend like 30 minutes blowing up whatever the fuck for like $2.
No, yeah, like maybe $2. Yeah.
And then, but one thing that I did know is that she didn't like it.
Because it's loud. Because
it's
we had
loud as
like
fuck,
we had
yeah.
a pump.
Yeah, we had an electric pump that, I mean, like, the back was a big place, but you could hear it.
You could hear it in the front of the store.
Yeah, it was loud, and she was very, very unfortunate enough to be positioned right by us.
Yeah.
And so she had to deal with that shit. So like, if
I know at times we joked about doing it like on days where like just to mess with her because she was pretty rude to us sometimes.
yeah, what was it? She like asked us for a tool. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it might have been for like jewelry or something.
Yeah, she like went through the cage while we weren't there.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, she was looking for like clips or like needle nose pliers or something.
Yes, that's exactly it.
And yeah, we left the door open. Like we said, the lock was only introduced to keep Jackson out. We never locked the cage.
Yeah.
But it was pretty well known, like, hey, don't go in there unless one of us are in there. Because, like, we have shit that we're working on in there. Don't fuck with our stuff.
I was going to say, I've had a few times working where I needed a tool or something, and I did go, but I always put it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you would also, like, I mean, you're cool. Like, we wouldn't care.
Yeah.
But, like, anyone else, they're strolling in on our shit.
Yeah.
But, continue.
I was just going to say that because it's like, it's so strange how I don't really know what her thought process was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a really hard time just trying to find the words to describe like why I think she did what she did, right?
She was definitely snooping.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt like she had it out for me, and
To a degree, me sometimes.
Yeah.
Just because we were both young, we were working the job where if you wanted to do nothing, you easily could. You could get away with a lot.
Yeah.
And she figured that's what we were doing sometimes, which there were days where we maybe slacked a little, but like we also worked super fucking hard. Like I said, we cleaned out a huge fucking mess.
You can talk about the revenue growth from the transition from
when
he to us.
So like monthly revenue reports were a thing, which she doesn't really go over them often unless there's something big and notable. We took over in about January, so it was like the beginning of the year, December or January. There was that was when I had worked a full month full time and had Jackson working on the weekends. There was a 200% revenue growth just because like me and him were putting out so much and so much was selling that the other guy wasn't putting out enough to like get that many sales.
Yeah.
Is 200% triple? Because 100% is double, but 200 might be quadruple.
200 is triple, I think.
Okay, we fucking tripled revenue in our department alone. So me and Jackson were working our asses off.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There was no case to be made on us slacking off. And
I want to say even being a cashier, like I sold more electronics and housewares that you guys put out in that month. And especially, I sold more stuff that we knew for a fact worked, and that's the big thing. Because you guys would actually test stuff before putting it out. And whereas Robotnik would, he put as is
on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it wasn't just selling stuff, it was selling stuff that people knew worked. And just so much more in that 1 month than I had my entire time as a cashier there.
Yeah, because we had the guarantee, like, you're not going to have to fucking worry about this.
Yeah.
We went through it.
Yeah, there are two things you put on the tags, either as is or works. Me and Jackson made a whole skit on it on my YouTube. It's a shitty skit, but, like, it was just based off of that whole concept where like the return policy was if we have works on it, you've got like 30 days or something to return it. Shawn may know the exact. But as is, you can't return it. And so like as is should be saved for things that are like
Otherwise
like
untestable.
yeah, like lights maybe. Like it works, you just have to have a light bulb, so you can't just test it in the store or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd probably even put works on a lamp, like knowing it worked. But if it's like maybe like a lamp that I had to remove the wire from, it's as is. Like it doesn't have a wire in it. You gotta
Things
wire
like
that
car
yourself.
stereos and
Yeah, you gotta wire that shit yourself, or you gotta go test it. It's a gamble, but those are usually priced cheaper. That was my rule on it.
yeah.
Or lights that we could test like light fixtures because we had like alligator clips and stuff, but I would always sell those as is. Like the rule on that was like if someone didn't know how to wire it themselves, they shouldn't really be buying it, you know?
Yeah.
So like it's as is. Don't return it if you don't know how to hook it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like we would thoroughly test things, make sure they worked, clean them up nice and everything.
And to be fair, like most of the time, these things did work. There'd be microwaves that someone fucking cooked chili in for too long and it exploded, and they're like, "I want a new microwave."
Yeah.
So we would just spend like 20 minutes cleaning that, and there you go, microwave. It
Yeah.
works perfect.
But yeah, I was gonna say, oh yeah, so that's probably about to wrap it up. Like I said, we've been going for about an hour and a half, and this is a bit of a longer episode, but there is so much more we could talk about. You know, maybe
I personally, I've got a lot of stories that I just didn't even think to bring up.
exactly like
there will be a part 2.
yeah, no, there will definitely be a part 2.
And hey,
maybe
we can bring on Colton.
if we, yeah, Colton's hesitant with his voice.
I see.
Like I said, he's very private, but yeah, whenever Wyatt leaves, he will more than love to be on. I know I plan on in the future having you back on with Wyatt and probably my buddy John to do a weed cast. And Jackson doesn't watch much anime, so he'd probably sit that one out.
I'll be the dedicated guy again.
Yeah, he'll just come and sit and be but yeah, we only have 2 mics right now, so Colin and Jack had to share a mic one time, and now me and Shawn are sharing a mic. But we'll either expand because
If you want to be technical, me, you, and Colin shared a mic.
yeah, realistically we did. But yeah, so to end out the podcast, a question from my little brother. You can find him on VCredo at Twitch and I believe YouTube also.
Everything.
Yeah, he says, "Hey gal, keycaps, rock or fuck?" He specifically said, "Fuck, not fuck." So like yes or no?
I don't actually. Can you repeat the question?
What's the question?
Hey gal, keycaps, rock or fuck?
Keycaps
For keyboards. Like, have you seen where people will replace their keycaps with just these fucking hey gal faces?
I have not.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. You have you ever seen custom keycaps where it's like a little image or something that
Instead of the letters, it's
I've seen plain ones with like no design on it, but like
there's some people will like paint them or print images and stuff.
So then the heck out the anime girls doing the like tongue out, like eyes crossed face.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know what that is.
Yeah, so
unfortunately.
yeah, rock or fuck, Jackson. Would you put a hey gal keycaps on your?
Imagine every time you type something, your keyboard moaned.
Well,
Yeah, and let's say they're like pristine, like they are the best keycaps you can buy if they just have like a hey gal faces on them.
I'm pretty happy with my like Black Widow the way it is.
Yeah, but like these are like pudding caps or whatever.
I
Like
don't know what the fuck that means.
Ethan has them. I don't know.
Ethan's a dork.
But you know, for a little spice, I might put a hey gal keycaps on.
Go for it, dude. I'm not doing it.
You've seen the background photo on my phone.
And your collection.
For no, because I don't mind putting this out into the world. It's Nobara Kugasaki from Jujutsu Kaisen with her tits out. That's my wallpaper on my phone.
Yeah.
I would definitely. There's no question.
Slow clap. You peaked it every single time you clapped.
I would like to apologize.
But yeah, I think that's gonna end us here. Yeah, part 2 will probably be in like another month or 2, but it'll happen. We'll write down stories and stuff. It'll give us time to sit on it and marinate and figure out what we want to talk about.
Yeah, if you made it to this far in the podcast, be sure to comment Robotnik.
Yeah, Robotnik.
Capital I.
Or
Either of them.
oh, Ivo or
Capital I.
capital I. Okay, yeah, I got you. Yeah. Now the next couple weeks episodes may be a little fucky because I will be starting a new job. So me and Jack figuring out that schedule. That will be within the next few weeks. We aim to keep it consistently coming out on Fridays. So
Yeah.
we will try our best. Thank you. Have a good night. Have a good morning. Whenever you're listening.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Say bye.
Bye. Thank you for having me. Genuinely.
Oh, you're welcome. It
been a blast.
was a hoot. It was a hoot.
Half.
Okay, I'll hold that while you